topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show. 16 years of Ask the Experts. And today's show, I got to tell you, our expert, Barry Fowler, has been with me for about 14 of those years. It is, without a doubt, my favorite show to do. We've taken the show from local to statewide to national, and he is in a business when it comes to resolving tax issues with the IRS that you see all these national ads out there and promises, but then you go and read their Google reviews and they're horrible. We have, without a doubt, the best when it comes to tax resolution. This is my favorite show to do. Little longer monologue today, but this Barry Fowler is worth it. He is the president and the founder of Taxation Solutions Inc. He's an enrolled agent, licensed to represent taxpayers before the Internal Revenue Service. His experiences in tax and finance, it spans over 30 years. His expertise includes tax resolution, tax planning, tax return preparation. And I bring out about the Google reviews because those people usually don't last in business long. Barry has been around for well over 30 years. And that shows you that his clients respect the work that he does. Welcome, Barry Fowler.
Hey, Steve, man, I don't think we need to go any further. We just keep replaying that monologue over and over.
No, you had me at, But no, Barry, I got to tell you, I have so much respect for what you've done with your company. And, you don't just relax on your laurels. You're always looking for new things to do, how you can help people. We're going to go through those today, but tell people about Taxation Solutions.
Well, first off, Steve, before we get into that, I just want to say I'm very happy that you invited us back for another year with you guys.
Yes.
To get information out. I thought with my own show, you were going to say, hey, we're not going to continue this. We're going to try to find somebody else or fill our shoes. I just enjoy bringing information to the American taxpayer, whether they use us or they use somebody else. They need to have the knowledge to be armed to defend themselves, both against the IRS and against some of these unscrupulous tax resolution firms that are out there that will tell them anything you want to hear just to make a sale. And that's just what we don't do here at Taxation Solutions. We want to help you the correct way and guide you the right way to get things done. And not everybody qualifies for an offering compromise. Yes, everybody can get a payment plan, but can it be the right kind of payment plan? And that's what we work through. Maybe it needs to be in non-collectible status to let the statute of limitations run out. Well, that's where we get our reputation, is because we're truthful, we're honest, and we're upfront. We had a client the other day that actually told me I was going to be completely wrong, and I had my head strategically placed. And I went, well,
Oh,
thank you, sir. I appreciate what you have to say. Um, and I appreciate the guidance on this. But I've been doing this a very, very long time. And here's the reasons why you don't qualify for an offer in compromise. But if XYZ resolution says you will, and that's what you want to believe, then I suggest you go for it. And then when they can't, come back to me and we'll put you into the right program. He went off. He actually called them back. Evidently, he challenged them, and they finally said, well, we're not really sure, but everybody can. He called us back. He went with us. You know, the truth is what the truth is. The facts are the facts. And, if you're going to be honest and truthful with people right up front, it does pay. I mean, that's what protects our reputation, and that's what helps people resolve their tax problems the right way, and not with a solution that just feels good that can't be achieved. Because you got to meet certain qualifications to go into an offer in compromise or a partial pay installment agreement or even non-collectible status. So you got to meet the rules, the regulations within the IRS, and that's what we know how to do.
Barry, I know you remember this, and I like to bring this up once in a while. About 10 years ago, I sent a good friend over to you. And, this just proves that Barry's going to tell you like it is. Hey, maybe there's times he can't help you. Very few, but maybe. And he told my friend that you don't need me and this is what you can do. Now, how many companies would have done that? And I wasn't trying to set Barry up. She had a tax problem, and there's no one else I'd rather send him to than Barry. But he was honest with her. And I got to tell you, she told me she really appreciated that because she had talked to another company and they had said, oh, we can help you. And Barry turned out you were right. I know you remember the story, but it, I just want to say this before we really get started is, there's people who think they can handle this themselves, and maybe some can. But I got to tell you, I have learned from Barry that first of all, you can get yourself in much deeper trouble by trying to handle this yourself. And then if you go and try to hire a Barry's company, you might make it worse off. Start off on the right foot. Just don't try to these people are much stronger than you are. They're good at what they do. But Barry Fowler, Taxation Solutions, is better. Had to put that in.
Steve, this happens every week with us because we get a lot of phone calls and we talk people through their tax problems and stuff. And sometimes, you may owe, 5,000, 6,000 or something, and it seems like a lot of money, but there are solutions that you can do yourself that doesn't, decimate you in your life. And it's easier for you to do it than to pay somebody else to do it. I had a guy actually had a state problem called yesterday, and he wanted us to handle it. And I said, well, to be honest with you, you know, we would have to charge you for the hours it's going to take for us to do this. And by the time you finish paying us for the time that we would have to spend, you could have made arrangements with the state and paid that money to the state. And then the tax problem that you have would be a little bit less, and you could have a payment plan, and this is what they'd be looking for. And I said, so, for us, we would love to charge you. We would love the money because we're a business and we need to make money. But for you as a taxpayer and as an individual, I'm going to think about it as if I was in your shoes. And the amount of money you're going to pay for me to do something that you could do pretty simply, because I just told you how to do it, could be spent better over there for tax relief, because I'm not going to get you a discount on these taxes that you owe for the state. You're going to end up paying the full amount, plus you're going to pay our fee. And so that just doesn't make sense to me as a person. Yeah, as a business person that, maybe would be greedy and money hungry and everything else, it makes sense to charge you and to go through and do this. But hey, if I can walk you through this, just a couple of steps that you need to take to go through and do, and you can get a payment plan in place with your state, hey, I think that's better for you. And, we would have to do a lot more research. We would have to do a lot more with the state. And, by the time you pay our fees, go do this. And the same thing happens when people call us about amounts due with the federal government and dealing with the IRS. Sometimes your amount just isn't worth hiring somebody for. Or sometimes, hey, we're going to tell you point blank, here's what your payment plan is going to be. You can hire us to do it. Here's our fee. Or you can go and do it through, filing the 433 or filing the 9345 and requesting that installment agreement. And the IRS will just put that in place for you. Those are your two choices, but we're going to give you the choice, which one you want to do, so we can make it a little bit simpler for you and easier for you to guide you down that path. And so, we take it upon ourselves here at Taxation Solutions to try to be the coach, try to give you the guidance that you need to solve your tax problem. And that starts with calling us at 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. It's a free call, free consultation. I'm not charging you anything until you decide you're going to sign up with us and engage us to handle your tax problem, which some people want to do it yourself and then it gets more complicated. Some people just need to turn it over to somebody because they're just not going to follow through and handle the problem the way you should for your family, for your wife, for your spouse, for yourself, to get that peace of mind from the IRS.
Barry, from letters that we've gotten over the last couple of weeks, I really want to talk a lot about business today, because businesses have tax problems that you can handle. But before I get to that, let's start off. You've got a show on every Monday. It's at 10 o'clock Eastern. Is that right, Barry?
10 o'clock Eastern, or right after Ask the Experts, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
Mondays. Yeah, we get to do it. It's called Tax Talk for You, and that's the number 4 and the letter U.com. So again, Tax Talk, the number 4, letter U.com. We're here on W4CY Radio at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Tune in. You can go to our Facebook page. You can also go to Facebook page at Taxation Solutions, and we have it broadcast there as well. And then don't be shy. You want to come in and ask questions? Man, we take questions and answer questions all throughout the show. We've even answered questions over my dogs, because I was at home one time doing it, and then the dogs were barking, and I got more questions that day and probably more listeners that day over dogs than I did about tax problems or tax resolution, or even trucker bookkeeping and taxes that we do as well. I'm thinking one of these days I need to broadcast from the ranch and be out there with our cattle and stuff. And everything. Today would have been a great day to do it, because we just had a new baby calf a couple of days ago.
Oh,
and so it would have been cute. It would have been fun. We may not have gotten much tax talk in, but we would have talked about cattle and maybe our border collie that's chasing the cows around, or even maybe the chickens. Who knows?
I was going to say, don't leave the chickens out.
The donkeys too. The donkeys are really good with the calf. And
Barry, you've actually done one of your shows with us when you went to go pick up one of your cows. Remember
Oh
that?
yeah. Yep, I did, and I was amazed that we were able to stay on most of the time.
Yes.
I was driving and doing it and everything. But right now, my calf, I think it identifies as a donkey because it's hanging out with the donkeys more than it is with the mama. But that'll change in a day or so, and as she gets bigger, the donkeys are just protecting her. So it's just kind of a fun thing and enjoyment. Outside of taxes and tax relief, you got to have something.
Well, I got to tell you, Barry, I really am very in tune to these national companies because they're online and I'm online all day long. And you are like one of the few companies that talk about truckers. I mean, you wouldn't even think about truckers. When do they have time to handle their business? And you actually have come out with a handbook, and you go around the country doing speaking engagements to truckers. Tell us about what you do with truckers.
Well, first off, let's start with my next coming speaking engagement, and
Oh
it's called
yes.
Truck to Success, and it's put on by OOIDA, Owner Operator Independent Drivers Association. Their actual foundation puts this on. It's in Blue Springs, Missouri, October 22nd through the 24th, I believe. And so it's only 3 days. It's a very intensive course. They talk about everything from getting authority to insurance rules, medical rules, Department of Transportation rules, you name it. It talks about it. So it's great for truck drivers. Maybe you were W-2 and you're deciding you want to get out and run your own trucking company, whether you want your authority or be leased on. I get to go up there and talk about trucker bookkeeping, trucker taxes. I talk about business entities and what you need to do to establish your entity and what's the best entities to use for your business. And then I'm up there and I'm captive, which is really cool. I'm up there. I don't take anybody else with me so that I can go in the evening and just sit in the lobby. And, sometimes the
Ah,
World
yes.
Series is going on, sometimes playoffs are going on. So if you want to come down and watch Astros win another World Series, if we can get past injuries, then hey, by all means, come down. Ask any question you have about bookkeeping or taxes for truckers. And that's what I'm there for. And I get to socialize 2 3 hours in the evening, not to mention all during the show, during the breaks, I'm available for people to talk to. That I'm there just to talk about trucking and how we help truckers. Now, we fell into this in the early days of Taxation Solutions. A lot of our clients were truckers. And we were kind of amazed. But then after thinking about it, the truckers weren't getting their taxes filed. They were on the road constantly. Most truckers, if you're home for a few days, you're not making any money. If you're home for a week or two,
Right.
you're making nothing. Nobody's going to pay you for your truck sitting still. You just have expenses. They want to spend time with family. I mean, who wouldn't want to spend time with your wife and kids? And, it's not like your, 9 to 5 job, Monday through Friday. It's your Monday through Saturday, or maybe even Monday through Sunday. And you come home for a day or two and you want some downtime. You get to see your kids a little bit and you're back on the road to make money. And you don't come home every evening. So the last thing you want to do is bookkeeping. Last thing you want to do is taxes. So we set up a very simple system where we do bookkeeping and taxes, mainly because the truckers came that we were helping with their tax problem requested. We didn't really want to do it. It's not something we were looking for because we were doing resolution work. It's because they started asking and started begging. And so we set up a separate company simply to handle trucker bookkeeping and trucker taxes. And it's called truckertaxtools.com. And you can call us at the same number here, 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. If you're a trucker, owner, operator out there looking for bookkeeping or taxes, I'm not allowed to say this on air, but we do have a special running through Friday this week. So we're giving away free bookkeeping from January through August. And our
Wow.
bookkeeping manager is going to shoot me because I'm not supposed to do this on air. So I didn't do this. Remember that. Mention Ask the Experts, mention the special, and we'll get 8 months of free bookkeeping. Your bookkeeping, your payments for bookkeeping starts for September 1 going forward, and it's as low as $30 a week.
Wow.
Try to beat that anywhere. Yeah, see why I'm in trouble?
Unbelievable.
Yep.
Well, Barry, listen, you are so busy with your business, with your family. By the way, your Astros beat my Rangers last night, but that's besides
that's 2 in a row.
That's besides the point. But no, you've got such a busy life. And here, first of all, you take time to do a show like this, your own show, but you offer these truckers and Barry, you know what? When people are working hard at their job, they really don't have time to keep up with what everybody else is doing. They have enough of what they have on their plate. And I got to tell you, you are like one of the few tax resolution companies in the United States that really cares about the truckers. It's amazing. None of them ever talk about it.
And I don't understand why, but I'm glad they don't, because that's what we're here to
Yeah.
do, and we're starting some new promotions for truckers on some billboards across the country, and going to be doing a bunch of new things for truckers. And then we're going to be getting out to some other shows and talking to truckers and doing things for truckers. One of our next places we're going to go, since we're done traveling this year, besides the October show for OOIDA Foundation, the next one we're going to be at, and this is a fun one, is going to be a moonshine festival in Louisiana. And we're going to be talking about tax relief there. But we did find out Leesville. It's at the end of March in Leesville, Louisiana. Now, the fun part about it is we have figured out moonshine can help your tax problem, but it won't make it go away. Because the more you drink, the less you think about your tax problem. And I'm not suggesting this as a solution. I'm just saying, hey, we figured that out in talking to some people at the last Moonshine Festival, because they're like, well, this isn't working. No, we do. The moonshine's never going to make it go away. We can fix the problem. Moonshine just coats the problem to where you can't think about it. See, you'll have a little fun.
Wow. That's Rebel probably knows where Leesville is. So you also, with everything that you have going on, you also brought in a new program, a tool to help people with their taxes. Talk about that.
Are you talking about that playbook?
The playbook.
It's to help people through solving their IRS problem. It's basically strategies I've used for over 30 years to get the IRS off of our clients' back for good in as simple as 3 steps. Now, as you and I know, I wrote this. IRS is ruining many people's lives out there. And it's my wife who made me do it, said I should do it. And I'm like, why? It's too much information. She goes, because this is what you talk about. This is what you do. This is what your life is about. It's about helping people through this bad time in their life where they're never sure what the IRS is going to do. Are they going to levy my bank account? Are they going to take my house or my property? Are they going to garnish my wages or garnish my Social Security? They're going to take my retirement. And they're always looking over their shoulder because they get these nasty little letters from the IRS, and they say they're going to lien, levy, and take, because the IRS only thinks every dime you have is theirs until you pay them in full. And they're running your life, they're ruining your life, they're creating stress, not just for you, but your spouse. And then that translates over to your kids and anybody else that's aware of the problem. And then they garnish your wages at work. And what do you think that does at work? Hurts your reputation, because it's not just HR or the payroll department that find out about it. Everybody talks about things at the water cooler. And guess what? They're going to talk about, hey, your wages are being garnished. Even if they shouldn't be talking about it, it's going to get out. And so it affects everything you do. So we put this playbook together of the 3 simple steps that we use to beat the IRS, to put a solution in place that solves your problem for good. Now, you may not want to do this, and I may not suggest to everybody that it's a do-it-yourself type of thing, but it's something you should go over there and read. It's something that is very helpful. And even if you're using us or maybe using somebody else, these 3 simple steps and everything that we do to beat the IRS is ideal for you to know that they're going down the right path. So if you go to www.irsplaybook.info, again, it's www.irsplaybook.info, just information, you can read everything about our steps that we take to defeat the IRS.
I think that is amazing that you offer something like this. Barry, I just got a text from a listener in Cleveland, Ohio. He said, I heard on the Sean Hannity show that the IRS can go to your neighbors and your relatives. Is that really true?
Absolutely. See, the
Wow.
IRS is trying to discover income. So if you're going through, let's say, an audit, they're looking for what you're doing wrong. And if you're ignoring letters from the IRS, they have the right, and they will tell you they have the right to go and ask questions and talk to people and stuff. So, you talk about adding more stress. The other question we get is, can they really take my house? Can they really take my business? I tell people, go right over to the U.S. Department of Treasury's website, go to auctions, and see the property they have for auction right there. Do you think it's property that they got from inheritance that they're auctioning? Do you think it's property that they just own because they like to buy property and auction it off? No, it's property they've taken from everyday Americans out there who owed tax money or maybe owed civil penalties or something like that, that they're coming out and they're taking this money, property by liens right from people, right from under them. I've seen them auctioning licenses off. I've seen them auctioning houses off, business property off, business equipment off, tractors, cars, you name it, they've done it.
Barry, when they take a person's business away from them, I mean, first of all, they're not the person's business they're taking is not going to be able to pay anything. But what do they do with those businesses?
Well, they take those assets. So when they foreclose on your business and any equipment, anything
Oh,
that's in that company's name, they've pulled out and they go to sell. Now, there are certain states where licenses are very valuable. like a liquor license that you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
get. And so they take that liquor license and then they auction that off as well.
Mm.
So there are certain licenses in certain states that are worth something because you can't get them anymore, or they're very hard to get, and you could sell or resell them. But any equipment, any inventory, buildings, cars, trucks and vans, buses, whatever it is that the company owns, you're going to see auction when they close the business. Now, that business owner is basically done. You're not going to be able to go open up another business and do the same thing, because then they're going to come back and attach all the liabilities from that business back to this new business. And so you kind of got to watch what's going on. And most business owners, if it's payroll taxes that are owed, they've got levied for trust fund penalties, which is the civil penalty for not paying the taxes in that you withhold from your employees. And the people that sign or have responsibility for paying those payroll taxes are the ones that are going to be held accountable. And those people can be everything from the owners in the business to a manager of the business that signs checks and has authorizes payments to go out. So even though you don't own the business, you could be held liable for the business.
Mm.
We had a gentleman that got held liable for a bar that he was working at. Now, we were able to go back and beat the IRS and prove to the IRS, even though it had been a couple of years after they had levied the trust fund penalties against him, by proving that the only thing he signed on was a small petty cash account that only paid for liquor coming in. He had no authorization to write checks for anything else besides the liquor that was dropped off. And he had absolutely no knowledge of what was happening at corporate headquarters where the payments and payroll was done. And we got him off. We had another guy who ended up owing over $1 million in trust fund penalties because his employer didn't pay any trust fund taxes, and then of course penalties and interest on top of all that. And they were holding him personally liable for the company's trust fund because he was a fourth in charge in the business, and they had him as a backup signer on the account, but he never signed checks. So we had to go back in and prove to the IRS that this guy had never signed a single check for the business to get him off of the trust fund penalties. And it was something that the company itself said, oh, we'll have representation for you. And they threw him under the bus to get some other people off. And then the two owners passed away. And so we had to do a lot of work and a lot of digging and everything to get this gentleman off from this liability, which was crazy as it was. But we were able to get that liability removed from him for the business that he had no ownership with and had received no benefit of any of this. So, little things you've got to work through. It's easier to do it up front when they first are about to hit you with those penalties and get the representation, especially, as a business owner, especially as maybe a manager in a business or somebody that they're trying to hold accountable for those liabilities. And they become almost a nail in the coffin for business owners and individuals that shouldn't be held responsible.
Hey, Barry, here's a really good question from Leon in Omaha. He said, I have not paid taxes or filed in 3 years. I have not received any letters from the IRS yet. I have been watching your shows now for the last 4 months, and I really respect your opinion now. Should I contact you now or wait till I get the first letter?
Well, Leon, here's the thing. I would contact us right now. Let us do a tax analysis for you. You get 50% off for watching Ask the Experts. So Call us at 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. Now, what that tax analysis is going to do is we're going to pull all the records on you that the IRS has. We're going to determine if you actually need to file and pull your wage and income information. And right now, if we want to get it filed, especially if you had an extension for 2021, we want to get that filed immediately. So if you have a refund, you can get that money back and you don't lose it. Now, if you didn't do an extension, you may not get that money back from the IRS because they have a statute of limitations of 3 years to give you money back, but 10 years to collect from you once you file.
Wow.
And those numbers don't make sense, do they? But it's the IRS rules. So we want to get that one filed if there's going to be a refund, and then get 23, 24 filed. Let's get these tax returns filed as soon as possible. So let's get those things going. Call us for that tax analysis, and then we'll move forward from there as quick as possible. And we can determine everything that's going on with the IRS when we do a tax analysis. And that number is 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. So Leon, pick up the phone, give us a call now. I got people standing by to answer the phones. And that promotion that we do for tax resolution, tax analysis, is for anybody. If you owe the IRS money, call us. Let us do a tax analysis, determine exactly what can be done, what the IRS is doing, how we can stop them. We'll even put a hold in place, right after that first phone call when we get the power of attorney and get engaged with you. We'll call the IRS. We'll get a hold put in place if we need it and get the tax analysis going, and then determine every step we need to take from there.
I want to get into business now, Barry, because we get a lot of letters from people say, how come you don't talk more about business? And you handle businesses. Let's start off with, how do most businesses get in trouble, Barry?
Well, there's probably two things that I see the most right now. Is one, you don't read your EIN letter, which is your employer identification letter, when you set up your company and get started. Because in that letter, it tells you three things. It tells you your employer identification number. That's easy. It tells you what returns you need to file. So do you need to file as part of Schedule C? Do you need to file an 1120, a corporate return? Do you need to file a 1065, a partnership return? Those are the three options when you set up your business. Then it's going to tell you, do you need to file payroll tax returns? 941s, 940s, 944. And when are they due? Now, if you're like most business owners, you set up the EIN, maybe you did it online, and you got an employer identification number, and then you didn't look and read the letter that the IRS sent. Because people these days don't read. So first thing to do is read. And what happens is you file the wrong return. You file it as part of Schedule C, or you decided, hey, what I really did is I set up an S Corp. Well, S Corp is not a type of corporation. It's how it's recognized by the IRS. So when you set up an LLC, it can either be a partnership or a single member LLC reported on Schedule C. If you set up a Inc. or incorporated or corporation, it is automatically taxed as a corporation on an 1120. You have to make the election to be taxed as an S Corp. And some people don't know about this and don't think about it. They just say, hey, I was an S Corp. Now you filed the wrong return because you should have filed an 1120 and you filed it as an 1120S. Sometimes the IRS gives rejections. right away. Sometimes they do not. And 6 months or a year later, they send you a letter saying you filed wrong. Now you got to fix it. Or you filed as a sole member, but they recognized you as a partnership because you put down you had 2 members. So things got to be fixed. It causes problems. It causes issues for you, for the IRS. With that S Corp as well, you had to do payroll for yourself. And they would have said you had 941s due or a 944 due and 940 due. And you missed all those deadlines. And now the IRS a year later is requesting all 4 or 5 or 7 returns that you've missed and hit you with penalties and estimated payroll taxes. Now you got to fix that problem. So that's the first problems we run into for business. And if you're dealing with those kind of problems, we can handle it. You just call us at 877-996-6477. We'll do a tax analysis and get the solution in place for you that's going to solve the problem, fix things, amend things, whatever we need to do. Get that S Corp status if you want it. The next biggest problem is that payroll issue that we just kind of talked about, where you get civil penalties. When you're starting a business, or maybe you've been running a business for a while, Steve, you and I can attest to this. Sometimes business can get slow, right?
Yes.
And sometimes businesses need money. And if you're in a manufacturing business, or maybe you're spending a lot of money on advertising to get new clients, or maybe you have a lot of people who work for you and you're having to make all this payroll, and some of the clients you're working for didn't pay you right away and you need money. So what's the first thing that you don't pay? Well, it should be
payroll.
It should be your other vendors. It should not be payroll taxes. But at the end of the day, the first thing that doesn't get paid is the payroll taxes. Why? I got to have my vendors to have the merchandise to be able to sell. I got to pay for my advertising, or I can't get advertising. I don't get customers. I got to pay for my employees, because if I don't pay them, they can't do things in their life. And I skipped paying those god awful payroll taxes. And now you have major problems. You have bigger concerns. You have what we talked about, trust fund penalties. You have payroll tax penalties for non-filing, payroll tax penalties for non-payment, payroll tax penalties on top of penalties, and make this whole thing penalizing, terrible, to where you can't afford anything and you need the help. And that's what we come in and do. And if you're facing those problems, you need to get somebody that's going to get in front of them right away, because that's what's going to potentially shut your business down. That's what's going to be, the nail in the coffin. That's the end of the end, by ignoring the IRS. And then because you've had the problem, this snowballs. Yes, the penalties on top of penalties makes it bad enough, but then maybe you're trying to make some payments towards the back ones, and now you can't make the current ones, and you're just making life worse every day as you go forward in business. And that's what we've got to help you turn it around to make it make sense and make it work, for you, and keep your business going, but keep you current with current payroll taxes, and figure out a way to solve the back tax problem so that you're not having as much of an issue. But that starts with, calling us for that free consultation. Let's do an analysis and work through this and put the solution in place that you can actually afford to have in place, and maybe get the IRS off the back, especially before you get a revenue officer assigned as well, that's going to hit you with trust fund penalties. So, call us. Let's get started. 877-996-6477. 877-996-6477. Yes, I'm doing better at getting this number out more, but it's that important that we should be giving this number all the time, so that somebody that has a problem, knows where to call to get the relief that you deserve, so that you can relax a little bit, get some sleep at night, and not let the stress carry over to the family.
Tim in Biloxi, Mississippi. I'm really enjoying your show. I'm getting ready to start my own business. I understand you're out of Houston, Texas. Do you help small businesses get their business started with the IRS? I guess they mean with getting incorporated and how they should probably set their
So
books up.
there
Do
are
they do
companies
that?
out there that can set up your LLC or your corporation cheaper than we could, and they can do it across the states and everything. We'll help you once you get your corporation started. We can help you with everything from there to making a decision if you should be an S corp, whether you should be a single member LLC, or maybe you have partners and you're trying to decide if you should be a partnership or an S corp. We can help you with all that, and then we can help you with your bookkeeping, your needs. We can help you with payroll and payroll taxes and getting all that stuff set up for you. And then we give you guidance. Our packages that we run for businesses are kind of incredible, because once you're a bookkeeping client with us, it includes free unlimited consultations to pick up the phone and call us. We're not watching the clock. It's all included. And, we do everything we can to make sure that you're going to be doing things the right way. Now, we give you, when we do taxes, estimated tax payments. We don't make them for you. We tell you what you're supposed to do. You've got to follow through on some of these things yourself, because that's part of being a business owner and taking responsibility. Um, and it's the same way like I've raised my kids. You got to take responsibility for the things that you've got to do in order to be successful. And that's part of the thing is, now we guide you and we want to do your payroll for you, because we don't want you to have a payroll tax problem, because we know people invariably are going to skip doing something and miss the deadline. We handle all that. And we got to do direct deposit, direct debit, and direct payments to the IRS for those payroll things. Estimated taxes, you still got to do. But we handle your taxes. We handle everything for you. So you can call us at 877-996-6477. Get started with us. We'll guide you through it and help you along the way.
And I'm going to tell people I've learned after doing years and years and years with Barry, be honest with them. Don't leave any little thing out. The IRS is going to find out. And the only way that Barry can really help you is about being honest, being upfront about everything, even if it's embarrassing.
I always say the IRS is the biggest, baddest, meanest collection agency there is in
You
the
do.
world. I don't know if Gestapo was this tough, but they can find everything. I mean, they have systems that search property records. I mean, they've asked questions when we do offers about cars, vehicles, trucks, real property, things out there that people have owned in the last 3 to 5 years and want to know what happened to it. I mean, they consider it, and if it hasn't been transferred out of their name and sold, they consider it still property, and they want to know where it went. If you gave it to your son or your daughter, like a car that maybe you bought for them, well, they could be considering that a dissipated asset. Well, we need to know these things so that we know how to approach this with the IRS and how to take care of it, so that when it does come up, we have a solution for it. And it makes our life simpler. If you've got major property out there that maybe you inherited, and even if you maybe haven't transferred it into your name, maybe the IRS finds it. But if you've inherited the property, it should have been transferred into your name. Well, that property may be free and clear and may be valuable enough to pay off your tax debt. Well, the IRS is going to find it. You can't hide these things. You might be able to hide them from me, but all you've done is made our job harder, worse, we need you to be fully vested, fully honest with us to solve the tax problems and to get the resolution that you qualify for. And then maybe it's finding ways to figure out how to keep that property that you have that's valuable to you, even if it's not valuable enough out there for the IRS. They're going to look for that as possibly to be a part of the offer. So how do we get around these things? How do we make things work? How can we put a solution that saves you and saves the property or what you're looking for? And then how do we address the problem of dissipated assets as well? And let's, find the solution.
Well, I got to tell you, Barry's going to be back again with us on the 23rd of this month at 10 o'clock Eastern. Barry, tell people again how they can reach you, your phone number and your website.
Absolutely. It's Taxation Solutions Tax Relief. All you got to do is go taxationsolutions.net, taxationsolutions.net. But better than that, hey, just give us a call at 877-996-6477. Again, it's 877-996-6477. Free call, free consultation. It's the way you need to get started. Hey, Steve-O, again, man, thank you. I appreciate it. I love getting
we appreciate
here with Ask the Experts.
Hey, Barry.
Whole
Barry,
year.
No judgment zone.
That's right.
No judgment zone.
We have a no judgment zone. If you got a problem, call us at 877-996-6477. Let's get started helping you today.
And tune in to Barry's show every Monday at 10 o'clock Eastern time. Barry, have a good weekend. I love you, bro.
Thank you, Steve-O.
That's Barry Fowler, Taxation Solutions. That's going to do it for us today. Hey, we'll be back again with you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.